One of the things that I learned when I was growing up was that my mother would never apologize. And mainly, even if she is wrong, growing up, even if she has beaten you, she should never apologize. Where am I going with this? It is a known fact that our parents in the African tradition or African culture, they don't apologize. They apologize when they are really, really, really cornered. It's either if you go through your uncle or you go through their mother. That's when they would apologize. But they will not apologize. They'll just show you that they are sorry for what they've done. So this is a scenario that we find ourselves in as Zimbabwe. That we have a situation where the elections of Zimbabwe have become topical in the Sadc circles. Right now, Sadc is going to meet on Wednesday under the auspices of the extraordinary summit for Sadc. And they are going to deliberate, among other things, Zimbabwe. But the question now is, will they change their stance, or will they be able to convince ZANU-PF to do something different than what they've been doing before? Then it comes to my issue. I think that Sadc will give recommendations and maybe stern warning, especially on the matters of the threats that were given to Hakainde Hichilema and Dr. Nevas Mumba. Those were something that were outstanding in the report of Sadc, in the sense that they said that the attacks on Nevas Mumba are also an attack on the democracy processes across Southern Africa. What this means is, if there are not going to be any ramifications or repercussions on Harare, it is a threat on the democracy of Southern Africa. You see, ZANU-PF or Zimbabwe is one of the countries that has been left out in terms of clear democratic processes in the region, if we want to be really fair. But now, what this means is, in this war scenario, it means that ZANU-PF might be forced to come to a negotiating table. According to what Fikile Mbalula was saying, that there are some delicate issues that they are talking between Zimbabwe and South Africa. However, the challenge now that you have is, there are two challenges. The first challenge is that CCC has got these issues of Sengezo Chabangu. The second issue is that, what is the party saying about such a stance? Is the party going to support a compromise whereby they see them having to accommodate the opposition in their ranks into trying to promote a scenario of cohesion? I don't know. The other thing that I also find is that the lackadaisic approach of CCC into engaging South Africa, because South Africa plays a key role in this whole scenario. So them not engaging South Africa, you recall what Dr. Ibo Mandaza said, that South Africa is an important player in this war chess. And number two, the Minister of International Relations, Dr. Naledi Pandor, is also keen into resolving the scenario, the Zimbabwean crisis, in terms of the polarity and the toxicity that Zimbabwe finds itself in. And in that framework, ANC is also struggling, and Zimbabwe is not going to be their hindrance or their stumbling block into retaining the majority, or to make sure that Cyril Ramaphosa stays the president come next year. So that means that if ANC, they might appear public that they hate ZANU-PF, they hate CCC, but they really want to find a solution. But is the CCC forthcoming in trying to negotiate that settlement, which I believe is a plausible option? Because if you look back, you will then find out that even in 2008, in that brazen 2008 election, Sadc still endorsed Robert Mugabe. Fast forward 2018, 6 people were killed in broad daylight in front of international media. Still, Sadc congratulated. They didn't do any action. The Motlanthe Commission made the recommendations, and still, So, do we expect Sadc to do more? Obviously, we want these bodies to do more. They just don't need to be toothless bulldogs that are just there. But I would also expect, on the other hand, that the compromise that is needed in our situation is to make sure that the reforms are done in the next 5 years, and that the opposition becomes effective and not become docile or be involved in court battles that will decimate the same opposition that is supposed to do its work and become an alternative. So the opposition needs to put their house in order, and also they need to engage these bodies in order to find a middle ground. But what do you make of the Sadc Extraordinary Summit? Now that it is done virtually, does this hold more water that it's done virtually? Because I would expect people to go to Botswana and hold that extraordinary summit, or to be in Angola or in South Africa or wherever, because I think a virtual meeting does not show much weight to the scenario that Zimbabwe finds itself in. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.